Nations do not die from invasion. They die from internal rottenness. A house divided against itself cannot stand. We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. You cannot build character and courage by taking away people's initiative and independence. You cannot help people permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves. America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. Any people anywhere being inclined and having the power have the right to rise up and shake off the existing government and form a new one that suits them better. This is a most valuable, a most sacred right, a right which we hope and believe is to liberate the world. Great men are ordinary men with extraordinary determination. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. Character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it. The tree is the real thing. Things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. 'Tis better people think you a fool than open your mouth and erase all doubt. This country, with its institutions, belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or exercise their revolutionary right to overthrow it. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first for sharpening the axe. The most reliable way to predict the future is to create it. Kindness is the only service that will stand the storm of life and not wash out. The philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next. Tell the truth and you won't have so much to remember. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. A nation that does not honor its heroes will not long endure. You must remember that some things, legally right are not morally right. If we exchange $1, we both have $1 each. But if we exchange one good thought, we both have the good thoughts. Let every American, every lover of liberty, every well-wisher to his posterity swear by the blood of the Revolution never to violate in the least particular the laws of the country, and never to tolerate their violation by others. When you make it to the top, turn and reach down for the person behind you. A child is a person who's going to carry on what you have started. He will assume control of your cities, states, and nations. He is going to move in and take over your churches, schools, universities, and corporations. The fate of humanity is in his hands. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. If there is anything that links the human to the divine, it is the courage to stand by a principle when everybody else rejects it. We can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. The trouble with too many people is they believe the realm of truth always lies within their vision. You cannot help the poor by destroying the rich. You cannot lift the wage earner by pulling down the wage payer. Commitment is what transforms a promise into a reality. Commitment is the stuff character is made of, the power to change the face of things. It is the daily triumph of integrity over skepticism. Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. It often requires more courage to dare to do right than to fear to do wrong. Kindness is the only service that will stand the storm of life and not wash out. It will wear well and will be remembered long after the prism of politeness or the complexion of courtesy has faded away. Violence begins where knowledge ends. I believe the Bible is the best gift God has ever given to man. All the good from the Savior of the world is communicated to us through this book. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Behind the cloud the sun is still shining. I'm a success today because I had a friend who believed in me, and I didn't have the heart to let him down. I do not boast that God is on my side. I humbly pray that I am on God's side. The ballot is stronger than the bullet. The strength of a nation lies in the homes of its people. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. You can tell the greatness of a man by what makes him angry. It is a sin to be silent when it is your duty to protest. Teach the children so it will not be necessary to teach the adults. You can have anything you want if you want it badly enough. You can be anything you want to be. Do anything you set out to accomplish. If you hold to that desire with singleness of purpose, I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts. When arguing with a fool, make sure the opponent isn't doing the exact same thing. What kills a skunk is the publicity it gives itself. You can please some of the people, some of the time, all of the people. Some of the time, some of the people. All of the time, but you can never please all of the people, all of the time. If you have never failed, you have never lived. I am not in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. We seek not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow those who would pervert it. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. Those who are ready to sacrifice freedom for security ultimately will lose both. If you trust, you will be disappointed occasionally, but if you mistrust, you will be miserable all the time. A statesman is he who thinks in the future generations, and a politician is he who thinks in the upcoming elections. If this country is ever demoralized, it will come from trying to live without work. Faith is not believing that God can, but that God will. Be with a leader when he is right. Stay with him when he is still right, but leave him when he is wrong. Let every man remember that to violate the law is to trample on the blood of his father, and to tear the character of his own and his children's liberty, and having thus chosen our course, without guile and with pure purpose, let us renew our trust in God and go forward without fear and with manly hearts. You cannot bring about prosperity by discouraging thrift. You cannot establish sound security on borrowed money. You cannot keep out of trouble by spending more than you earn. Don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties. Elections belong to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, then they will just have to sit on their blisters